He was the most feared assassin, but one day he failed to execute his job, and this cost him the life of his love. In pain, he devised a revenge plan so full of agony that even the devil himself would have feared it. The movie begins in Paris, where our assassin, who clearly doesn't believe in the phrase "the early bird gets the worm," is staring out of a window, nearly nodding off, until his timer buzzes. He finally snaps awake because, even for killers, a snooze button is essential. Still staring out the window, now with gloves on because, of course, no fingerprints, this mysterious assassin is only known as the Killer. Earphones in, he spends his time people-watching, probably wondering why they're so much better at living normal lives than he is, deciding it's time to pretend he has a gym membership. He does some yoga and push-ups before heading out, wearing his best "don't notice me" disguise, sunglasses and a hat. He scans a bike with his phone like a modern-day assassin, grabs some snacks at a cafe, because even killers need a croissant, and makes a phone call. The guy on the other end mentions an arrival, and the killer replies that he's been waiting for 5 days. After declaring he'll wait just 2 more days, as if he has a packed schedule, he heads back to his hideout. A narrator chimes in, letting us know that the killer refuses to book Airbnbs anymore due to hidden cameras. Apparently, not even assassins are safe from creepy landlords. As night falls, he sets up his sniper rifle like he's prepping for a camping trip, only deadlier. At one point, a mailman shows up, nearly walking into it, but neither of them seems up for small talk. When dawn breaks, the killer reflects on the true enemy: boredom. Forget enemies or targets, nothing is worse than waiting for hours. To pass the time, he cleans the sink because even killers like a tidy workspace, then settles into his makeshift bed for a quick snooze. Deciding that power naps are the way to go, he sets an alarm to wake up and check for his target's arrival. Kind of like a super intense version of waiting for a pizza delivery. During one of these checks, he spots curtains opening at the target's place. A maid starts prepping the house like it's the season finale of Assassin Cribs. The killer grabs his sniper ready for action, and notices more people entering. The maid welcomes guests, and he spies a woman being escorted to a room. He puts on his hoodie, muttering to himself like a motivational speaker. His watch buzzes, showing his heart rate is spiking. Pro tip: even killers get nervous before the big moment. Looking through his scope, he sees his target with a woman, probably the target's wife. In a moment of existential crisis, the killer gives himself a pep talk about morals, which weirdly enough calms him down. But when he finally takes the shot, he misses. Instead, he hits the woman. Oops, clearly not his best work. Realizing things have gone sideways, he packs up his stuff faster than someone who's late for a meeting. He slaps on a motorcycle helmet, jumps on a scooter, and races off like he's trying to avoid both the cops and a bad Yelp review. While driving, he casually tosses his gun into a garbage truck. Because littering is a crime, but throwing away murder weapons? Totally fine, right? After some clever alleyway maneuvers, he pulls up to a sketchy public restroom, changes his appearance, and hails a cab to the airport. Because if there's one thing this killer knows, it's how to stay stylish on the run. At the airport, he spots a security dog and, like anyone who's ever accidentally carried a bottle of water through TSA, makes a quick U-turn. He cleans himself up, buys a ticket, and makes a call from a payphone, explaining the situation. On the plane, he notices a sketchy guy, probably thinking, great, now I'm the one being watched. Later, when the airline offers free accommodation due to a flight delay, he jumps at the chance. Free stuff? Even assassins can't resist that. At his hotel, he places a glass cup on the door handle, turning it into the cheapest security system ever before crashing on the couch. The next day, he sneaks out and catches his next flight, this time feeling a little more relaxed, earphones in. Eventually, he lands, drives through some picturesque landscapes, a quick Instagram moment maybe, and reaches a gated property. Then he spots boot prints. He knows things are about to get interesting. Out comes the pistol, and over the gate he goes, sprinting toward the mansion like it's the Olympics of crime. The killer stumbles into a bloody scene and makes a frantic call before rushing to a hospital dealing with power issues. There he finds Magdala badly injured. Marcus, a friend of the killer, informs him that Magdala is his sister, and that she was attacked by a man and a woman, likely targeting the killer but finding his wife instead.
There were 2 of them. She can describe them. It's not like they were disguising themselves. One was a woman. This wasn't a robbery.
Despite her injuries, Magdala reassures the killer that she didn't reveal any secrets. After visiting her, the killer uncovers a hidden underground safe. The next day, while driving around, he spots the car involved in the attack on his home. Determined, he tracks down an emergency driver connected to the case, hacking into a database to gather information. He sends a package to someone named Dolores and then confronts the driver, demanding answers. The driver reveals details about the attackers, calling them freaks and explaining how he was forced to drive them to a mansion.
I drove them, that's all. Round trip was what they said. Then they told me north on Highway 1, then deep into the darn jungle, like forever. They showed me on Google. I drove them. They wouldn't take no for an answer.
Unmoved by the driver's story, the killer eliminates him, focused solely on his mission for revenge. Now using a fake passport, the killer travels to New Orleans. He stops at a storage facility to prepare, collecting weapons, files, a new license plate, and power tools. Soon, he spots his next target, Dolores. Disguised as a garbage man, he enters a building. When Dolores sees him, she's terrified. The killer confronts both her and Hodges, holding them at gunpoint. Hodges immediately recognizes the killer and urges Dolores to cooperate. After locking Dolores in the bathroom, Hodges confesses, admitting he orchestrated everything after the killer missed his original target.
I was forced to make amends to a very angry, very powerful man. Never in my wildest imagination did I think you'd actually go home.
Hodges may think he's out of tricks, but he's definitely wrong about that. The killer grabs a nail gun and shoots him right in the chest, guessing he's got about 6 minutes to live. Turns out, Hodges dies instantly, proving that even killers can make bad estimates sometimes. The killer then turns his attention to Dolores, who knows the names he's been looking for. She agrees to spill the beans, but only if he promises not to make a mess.
I'll give you those names, but promise me you won't leave things looking the wrong way.
In a rare battle between his conscience and cold-hearted nature, he decides to let her go. But when she sees Hodges' body, she passes out. Smooth. The killer casually tosses Hodges into a garbage can like he's just taking out the trash. Later, Dolores ends up in a car ride she definitely didn't sign up for. Panicking, she tries to make a break for it but ultimately helps the killer go through some files to track down the subcontractors responsible for the attack on his home. They uncover a name, Claiborne, the mastermind behind it all. After getting what he needs, the killer gets rid of Dolores, grumbling about how his line of work is basically one big cleanup job. He checks into a motel, grabs some food, and cleans his van. Because even assassins need a tidy getaway. With nothing else on his to-do list, he plans his next move, Florida. When he gets to the address he found, he sees a group of guys hanging around. As night falls, they start leaving, and the killer follows one of them home. Faced with a barking dog at the fence, he tosses it some food like it's a treat, waiting for the right moment to slip in. When the dog's not looking, the killer sneaks into the house to eliminate his target, who is in the shower. Before he can act, a man unexpectedly ambushes him, leading to a brutal fight. The killer uses household items as weapons, and after a tense struggle, he manages to fatally shoot the man. He escapes the house, pursued by the dog, and sets the place on fire with a Molotov cocktail to cover his tracks. The next day, he flies to New York, blending in by using public transport and renting a car. After locating his next target, he watches her carefully but is interrupted by distant sirens. The killer meets the expert, a woman who stops for dinner at a waterfront restaurant. He joins her table and discreetly points a gun at her. She attempts to talk her way out, insisting she had no role in his wife's attack and blaming another man.
For what it's worth, I would never have involved your female friend. What happened to her, I had no part in. I objected to his methods and I told him so.
Despite her efforts, including trying to fake an injury, the killer remains emotionless and silences her with a single shot. Now he sets his sights on a high-profile target. After observing the target's routine, he orders a key fob copier from Amazon and meets a contact for weapons. With a copied fob in hand, he sneaks into the gym locker room where his target works out, steals his wallet to copy the access card, and then waits for the right moment. Later, he uses the card to enter the building and makes his way to the penthouse on the 27th floor. The killer confronts his target, billionaire Claiborne, as the man picks out a drink. At first, Claiborne doesn't recognize him and tries to bribe his way out. But when the killer reveals the copied card and starts asking questions, Claiborne realizes what's happening. He explains that after the killer's failed hit, Hodges decided to have him eliminated as a precaution. Claiborne smooth talks his way out of danger, convincing the killer that there's no personal grudge between them.
What I'm trying to say here, and I can't express this strongly enough, I have no issue with you. Zero.
The killer warns him that if he ever needs to return, it won't be a quick or painless end. With his business wrapped up, the killer leaves. He travels to the Dominican Republic, where he reunites with his now recovered wife. Over a quiet moment with tea, the killer finally experiences a sense of peace after all the chaos. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next video.